Okay, I hope you got rested at lunch. I don't really care if you enjoyed it, but I hope you got rested a little, so you could free up your pea brains, your pea-sized brains. I was just looking at the video from the first clip. Did you put it on Twitter yet?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Oh, I couldn't find it. Okay.
It's on your page.
Okay. To me, listening to myself, I mean, I don't even hear the what you would call the rough language. I don't hear it. It's just, it's not filtered. I guess I'm immune to it. I don't even hear it. And I sound soft to me. So I'm going to hike it up a notch because it sounds too soft. Because the reality, the real world is that it's not that easy. Even though the first 23 minutes that you filmed me, I said it was hard, but I didn't say it was hard enough. And see, Asia, it's Asian mean time, means that between now and tomorrow you show up. See, that's Asian mean time. And I used to be on a Dutch board of directors who had some big, heavy hitter Dutch guys. And one of them would come in late, he'd be all tan, his helicopter would land outside, and he lived in the Dutch Antilles. And he was the first guy that came up with the idea to float a shell company to raise money to sue the government. So he raised 500 or 600 million guilders in those days. And he got the idea, I think for me, from the option I took public. He said, well, I have a suit against the government for taxes. I'll raise money because everybody hates the government. I ought to raise money easy. And he did. He did. A smart guy. A very smart guy. And on top of it, if I remember, memory serves me correctly, he won. So, Ricardo's success test came back. I think he fiddled the numbers, but he got a -3. But he's only taken the test 41 times. So after 41 times, and at age 63, I mean, he finally got -3. That's okay. Some of you can take the test 1,000 times and you'll never get -3. Because you're genetically coded.
Well, here's a beginning, yeah.
Yeah, well, I think we're going to need a psychiatrist for her.
Oh, really?
Yeah, psychiatrist for her. And because you just genetically, how many times have you taken the success test, Christina?
Once.
And what did you get, 20, 18, 16?
I don't remember. And
Was it on the suicidal end?
No,
or the blow your brains out in what?
I said slightly depressed. Slightly.
No, that's not the success test. You're talking about the optimism and pessimism test.
Yes,
I'm talking about the success test. So the correlation is she has a 99.9% chance of not succeeding. And that we should give her a gun or some pills. Women normally like to take pills when they commit suicide. They don't like guns. So, but we don't do that anymore. We don't give guns out, and it's only metaphorically I'm speaking for those that are listening to me on YouTube, but we would never, ever do anything like that to a nice lady like this.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. And when I came in, Marcus and was speaking, some would say German, right? Yeah. Though I was 15 minutes late, because normally I finish what we're talking about at 1, and I haven't forgotten the success test or the optimism test. We'll get to that. We now go through the steps of the beef, so to speak. And you have to remember I did this in retrospect. When I got thrown out of Great Western Resources in January '92, and I was trying to decide what I needed to do with my life, in addition to winning the lawsuit and getting the money that they owed me. A friend of mine named Charles Budge Grubbs, that I've known most of my life, suggested that I coach. And he said most of the success coaches, business coaches, are full of shit. And you got a proven track record, you should be good at it. And then he said, but what you have to do is you have to memorialize it. So we spent 3 or 4 days in Houston, Texas, sitting down with Leanne Kelly, who was my assistant at the time, and Bud, and we put together all the things I'd done, looking backwards. Excuse me. And this is what we came up with. It's been refined slightly over all these years. But like in construction, no building is any stronger or weaker than the foundation. And we split personal foundation up into 5 categories: beyond common sense, focus on the ends, not the means, get comfortable, new rules, and your passion. And then we moved on that no goal will be fulfilled. And we actually went back to Napoleon Hill, and he fantasized sitting in a river in East Tennessee, a Rolls Royce. He was sitting on a log, and he saw himself sitting in a Rolls Royce, which is really just an old hollowed-out log. To make sure that your visions are as clear as the screen and the things on the screen. And then that I had to build a perception of being successful before I was successful. A couple of days ago, Marcus asked me, how did you come up with all this stuff? And I said that the program I had to come up with was based on because I had no money. So I had to it had to be perceived that I was successful and that I did have money, and that's why I surrounded myself with a dream team. Now, albeit the first dream team I had, I bought. I made an acquisition, and 4 of the 7 dream team members were on it. Then about the 4th or 5th acquisition I made, 3 more dream team members were on it. And then the only person of note that I added to the dream team myself was Governor Hugh Carey, the former governor of New York, who was a partner in the law firm that I used. And when we talk about the big law firms and the big accounting firms, the reason I continue to try to use them is because they have access to deals, they have access to powerful people. And I wouldn't have gotten Hugh Carey on my board if I hadn't engaged their law firm. The dream team, and then we put together, and retrospectively, I thought, how did I put my action plan together? And I had an action plan for growth and financing and externally, acquisitions externally and financing for internal growth. And so I thought all this too, but when I was doing it, I wasn't as methodical as all this. But thinking backwards, 20 years ago, and how I did it, those 10 or 15 years before, this is the pattern I followed. And one of the most important things I did is I took money out all the way through the deal. That's why I tell you should refinance your deals. And I paid myself and my directors and all my employees. And I structured success fee. I pay you a small salary. You get a big part of the commission, et cetera, as some of you guys follow now. And the first step of this plan is your exit strategy. I never enter into anything that I don't want an exit, or I must have an exit. And now it's 3 to 5 years, which normally runs 5 to 7 years. Very seldom do you get an exit in 3 years. Once in a while you get it in 5. One of the reasons that it takes longer than it should is because of your preconditioning. You know, you can't live, you haven't been trained or programmed that you can make 50, 100, 300 million, 400, 500 million dollars in a few years. You're not programmed for it. And your parents aren't programmed for it. When you go to Thanksgiving dinner, or you go to Christmas, or you go to whatever the hell you go to and talk to your relatives, and if you're stupid enough to bring up what the fuck you're doing, because you're all looking for recognition from your pea-brain family, so you talk about it. And then they make fun of you. Some right to your face. Are you stupid? And that's all it takes. And one drop at a time. And then pretty soon you lose your confidence and you slow down. If you don't stop, you at least slow down. And that's what happens. The difference between me and everybody in this room is I don't share doubts. I may be wrong, but I'm never fucking in doubt. You share your troubles with everybody that'll fucking listen to you. Starting with your wife, God forbid your kids, and even more God forbid that your in-laws. And then you wonder why they have no confidence in you. And most of them will say, you're already successful, why are you going through this shit? The few older guys and gals that come through, why? What do you need the hassle for? What do you need the aggravation? But without exiting, this is all pissing in the wind. Pissing in the wind. Now, for some of you that want to build up a family dynasty and leave it to your children or your bastard children from your second mistress and your fourth mistress, and like a lot of guys have done, fine, that's not me. And as I've told my children, they're not getting a penny from me, not one single penny. I've left all my money in irrevocable trust. This castle is owned by an irrevocable trust and has been for almost 30 years. And virtually all the assets that I have, almost all the assets I have, are in trust. So and it's going to various charities, etc. Sally, Robert, and I support 3 charities. I think I mentioned last night. 2 Mother Teresa charities and 1 Holy Family charity in the Philippines. So we got about 150 or 170 kids we support, amongst other things. Because I think one of the worst things you can do, since you've raised your kids like misfits, that's a given, is to give them money. So now you got a misfit with money. And that's why between the 2nd and 3rd generation, the money is eliminated from the kids. That ain't going to happen to me because I'm not going to give the kids any money. So that's the program. And that's what we're going to spend the next several days going through in detail. And when we get down to building the dream team and financing, etc., we'll go through role playing, because how do you get a high-performance person to want to be part of your dream team? How do you get a banker to want to finance? How do you get a government minister to agree to sell you assets, and plus the exchange of terms, etc., that is very favorable to you when you got no money? These are all things that I have done for many, many years. These are things right now that Marcus is doing as we speak. And as he said, I think it was last night or the night before, he doesn't remember everything I tell him, but he remembers a few phrases, right? A few key words. Yeah. And those key words work. Right. And intellectually, it's not important whether he understands. All he knows is the shit works. He's not exactly positive why it works, but it works. And what some of you will have problems with is you want to know why it works. And that's a fucking downfall. Because it's not important why it works. It's only important that it fucking works, you Romanian gypsy moron. You don't have to understand. Okay? When they first started to make the atom bomb in the Manhattan Project, they didn't know it was going to implode or explode. Now, from a physicist's point of view, I'm not sure I understand the difference. Although implode, I think it's like the black hole caving in, and explode is... I'm not sure if that's true, but to me that's simple enough. That's good enough for me. I don't need to know anymore. But they didn't know, and then they finally, if I remember correctly, they thought it was going to do one and it did the other. But they got all these smart guys, most of which were German, I might add, together to make that bomb. So if you remember as we go through this, it's not important the little things that might make it more understandable. Because when you talk this stuff to other people once you leave here, they won't know how it works either. So the trick fuck is they don't know, but they think you know. That's all that's important. Perception is reality. Okay.